it's just fascinating to be connected with all of you guys. As you know, we've been talking about the importance of public speaking skills, and all of the speakers so far have just given some fabulous information and some very essential and critical information that we need to have. And so I don't want to repeat anything that they've already said. So I'm going to go a little bit different here because we already know that public speaking is relevant in our professional settings and also in our everyday lives, right? In every single thing that we do, it involves communication. Without communication, there's nothing. There's no connection. You might as well just stay at home in a closet and not do anything. Everything else outside of that requires you to communicate. Your body language, your voice, your writing, your texting, your speaking on the phone, it's all communications and it's all essential. What I want to do this morning for all of those of you present here with us today and those of you that'll be listening to this show later on, I'm going to change your life right now. Yeah, that's a pretty bold statement, isn't it? But I'm going to change your life right now because I'm going to take away one of the beliefs, what I believe is a myth that the entire world for many, many years has imposed on us and has made us believe that we are afraid of public speaking. And it just really troubles me that they say that 70% of the world population of adults are afraid of public speaking. That means 7 out of 10 of us that are here on the call today are afraid of public speaking. I think that this is a lie. You are not afraid of public speaking. Again, that's a pretty bold statement because there's a lot of people that say we are. We are afraid of something, and I'll get to that in a minute, but we're not afraid of public speaking. But before I dive into that, let's just look at this whole idea of this fear, right? What supposed fear. Where does it come from? One place and one place only. It comes from our childhood. Somewhere along the way, you can look back and reflect on your childhood and see you were a child, your parents said, shut up, sit down and eat, mind your own business. Children are to be seen and not heard. How many of you heard that when you were growing up? Children are to be seen and not heard. How many of you heard from your parents or otherwise, you're stupid, you don't know what you're talking about, right? I heard that. How about in class? Remember in being in first, second, third grade, and the teacher says, I have a question. And she asks a question, says, who has the answer? And you raise your hand, excited to answer the question. And you give the wrong answer. What happens? Ah, ha, 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 you're so dumb, right? All the other kids laughed, just like Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. All the other kids laughed and poked him fun and called him names. So these experiences from our childhood, they cause us to do one thing and one thing only, and that's boom, shut down. And we make this internal vow to ourselves. And we say, I am never, ever going to raise my hand in class again, right? I'm never going to speak up again. I'm not going to offer the answer, even though I know. I'm just not going to contribute. I'm just going to mind my own business and go along on my merry way. And so this now translates into our adult experience when we go and we apply for a job, right? And how many of you have had this experience? You submit your resume to the company, you go in for an interview, the interviewer is sitting there and says, well, Michael, I have your resume, very impressive. Whoa, you went to this school? Wow, you got Dean's List, honors, outstanding. Oh, you have this experience and you've made this much money for your prior employer? Excellent, excellent. Well, tell me about yourself. And what does Michael do? Michael says, well, I went to school here. I went to work there. I worked there for 10 years. I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. In other words, Michael's repeating the same things that are already in his resume. Why did we do that? Because we don't know how to speak about ourselves. We don't know how to share our stories. We were never taught that. Remember, as kids, we were taught, shut up, sit down, be quiet, just sit there and look pretty. Children are to be seen and not heard. And so as a result, we were never taught how to talk about ourselves. Let me give you another example. Remember your first date? How many of you remember your first date? And you're just sweating inside and your heart is beating really fast because the other person is saying all their life story, and they're saying where they traveled, and they're saying what their aspirations are and what their experience has been. And then they say, so tell me about you. And what do you say? You say, what do you want to know? Right? Because we were never taught to share our stories with confidence, with authenticity, and in a genuine fashion. And so we're afraid to speak up. All of these experiences from our childhood leading into when we first start dating and all of these things, they're all catching up to us. And we become these big adults. We start running companies. We start doing these things out in the marketplace. And the number one skill that we should have, which is the art of communications and public speaking, because it's essential in everything we do, is the number one skill that we're lacking in, which is why we're having an event like this today. If it wasn't the case, the Global Speakers Summit wouldn't be in existence. They wouldn't find the need to train the world on this skill, right? Why are there so many books on public speaking? Why are there so many programs on public speaking? Why do we have beautiful coaches like Ursula and Fatima and Iskra to train people on public speaking? Because we're not taught. And because there's 8 billion people on the planet now, we need more coaches like Ursula, right? We need even more, because every day, more and more people are coming into this world. More and more people are graduating from high school without the ability to speak, because all they do is type on the phone all day and they don't know how to communicate. All right. I said a little bit ago, you're not afraid of public speaking. You probably don't believe me right now, but I'm going to show you that it's true. I also said that you're afraid of something, and it's not public speaking. What we are afraid of, ladies and gentlemen, is simple. What we are afraid of, are you ready? This is life-changing. We're afraid of making a mistake. Oh my gosh, that's it. I'm not afraid of public speaking. I'm afraid of making a mistake. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever made a mistake before? Raise your hand if you've ever made a mistake before. Raise your hand if you died because you made a mistake. No, you're still here. Are you going to make a mistake tomorrow? Likely. You're probably going to make a mistake this afternoon when you get off this call, somewhere along the way. We're afraid of making a mistake, again, because of our childhood experience. You're not afraid of public speaking. Now, if we're afraid of making a mistake, do you think that we can learn to avoid making a mistake? Of course we can. Let me give you an example. We have arms and we have legs. Just because I have arms and legs, does that mean that I could run a marathon tomorrow? What do you think? Or participate in the Tour de France. I know how to ride a bicycle. I use my arms and legs to ride a bicycle. Can I join the Tour de France tomorrow? Not without training. Remember before you started driving a car? What did you require? Training. Were you afraid of driving a car the first time you got behind the wheel, and maybe there's an instructor or your mom and dad or your big brother or sister, maybe even a friend next to you, and they're saying, do this, do this, do that, be careful, look out over there, oh my gosh, you're going to crash, slow down, put on the brakes, all these things, right? You're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And then you make a mistake because of all the confusion, all the noise, and all the commotion going on around you. Once you become trained in driving a car, now you can do it in your sleep. How many of you drive to work and before you know it, you're there and you're, how did I get here? It's all automatic, right? Swimming is another thing. Just because I have arms and legs, do you think I know how to swim? I do now, but I didn't before. I got trained. And so just because we have a mouth, and just because we have a voice, for those of us that do have the ability to produce sounds with our mouths, I know there may be a lot of people listening to this that have an impediment or some sort of physical or disability that doesn't allow you to use your voice. And so I'm recognizing that as well. I'm speaking only right now to the people that have the ability to produce sound with their mouth. We require training, because we don't know what to say during the interview. We don't know what to say when we're being asked to speak to our team at work and deliver a presentation on something. We don't know. We know the material, but we have so much material. We need training and coaching and assistance in helping us bring all of this knowledge down to be able to present it in 2 minutes, in 5 minutes, in 10 minutes, or even an hour, right? That takes training. But the beautiful thing, folks, is that you can learn it, and you can learn it from the beautiful people and trainers that we have here, right? I mean, Lisa Maria is a school teacher, for heaven's sakes. She can teach all those kids the power of their words and communications and how to use their voices. And so, wouldn't you love to be a student, go back and be a student in her class, because she recognizes the importance of communications. She's probably not one of those teachers that tells her students, shut up and be quiet and don't speak. She probably tells them, sit down, be quiet, and speak when you're asked. That's a different story, right? Okay, so are you all with me that we are not afraid of public speaking? Can we, and it may take you some time to reframe this in your own mind, because you've been trained, you've heard it so many times from so many people, and you've read so many books, and you've looked at so many YouTube and TikTok videos. How do I eliminate the fear of public speaking? I just told you. You're not afraid of public speaking. You're afraid of making a mistake. And if you're afraid of making a mistake, we can learn to avoid the mistakes. But understand too, that as a speaker, as a communicator, mistakes are what make you human, right? Otherwise, you'd be a robot. No one wants to be a robot. No one wants to listen to a robot. When we're having conversations, imagine having a coffee or a glass of wine, having lunch with you guys, and you just speak perfectly in perfect tonality and perfect, cadence and everything. How boring would that be? How boring would that be? We love the pauses. We love Ursula's, what she thinks is a speech impediment, because it draws you to her. It says, wow, what an interesting voice. Fatima's, what she calls a speech impediment. It's beautiful because it engages us, right? And we all sound different. Imagine what the world would be like if we all sang the same tune. If every singer out there sounded like Andrea Bocelli. Andrea Bocelli is a beautiful singer, right? But if every singer sounded like Andrea Bocelli, how excited would you be? Right? It's our differences that make us beautiful. It's our differences that connect us. And our job as communicators, our job as speakers, is to present ourselves, present our stories, present our experiences, present our journey in such a way that it captivates and engages the audience. And this is learned. Just like Ursula had to go to acting school, right? To learn how to be on stage and just to make the people go, oh my gosh, she's so amazing, right? Iskra, the same thing. It's all learned. And you can learn it right here through the Global Speakers Summit. Now, why is all this important? Why are all of us giving you our time? Why does the Global Speakers Summit exist? Again, we discussed the importance of communications, but I believe that the reason is that we are all here to serve one another. I believe, my personal opinion, although I think it's proven, that we are all here to serve one another. Lisa Marie chooses to serve as a teacher. Some of you choose to serve as a bus driver, as a chef, as a restaurant owner, as a real estate agent, as a politician, as a pastor in a church, me as a lawyer and former police officer, right? An author. We choose to serve in different ways, but it's all service, right? Why do we own a restaurant? To serve our customers. Why do we become real estate agents? To serve the people that want to buy and sell houses. Why do I become a police officer? To serve my community. Why is Lisa Marie a teacher? To serve her community and the students, right? It's all service. That's our primary purpose. Telling our stories is important because your struggles, your journey, your experiences have value. Value not just to you and your children, but value to your community, value to your neighbors, value to your family, value to your church, value to your workplace. It's how we all learn. It's how we connect is through our stories. Our stories are what help us understand each other. For example, I could look at Fatima and, I have no way to relate to her because she's from a different country, a different time, a different language, a different upbringing. But once I hear her story of abuse, I can say, you know what? I was abused too because I was as a child. I tried to commit suicide multiple times by the age of 17 because I was told and led to believe that I was worthless, without value, and good for nothing. That story, my experience, matches her experience. Different time, different place, different people, but it's a connective story nonetheless. Now I can say, Fatima, I understand you. I appreciate you. I can honor you. And you know what, Fatima? I love you. I love you because you survived and you're here today. And this is how we all connect and we can build understanding. It's how we build a bridge across the world to each other, right? Racial and ethnic differences aside, it's our communications, it's our stories. And that's why it's important that you're here today. That's why it's important that you're taking good notes from all of the speakers. That's why it's important for you to go back and re-listen to this program. And it's even more important that you reach out to your favorite speaker, to your favorite coach, to all of them. Number one, and say, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing with me. And then choose to work with one of us because that's why we're here. Finally, I want to share with you the importance of sharing our stories is so important to me personally that me and my company have created the Voices of Impact Awards. It's a global search for people with inspiring stories, which is everyone here has an inspiring story that you've shared, or an original song, because songs are stories too. Because everyday people deserve to be heard, deserve to be recognized, deserve to be seen. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to be a celebrity to have an impact on the world. And I was tired of going on stages and sharing my story and people coming up to me afterwards and saying, Steve, thank you so much for sharing your story. I was so inspired and motivated. I'm going to make these changes in my life. And I said, thank you. But you know what? You have a fabulous story too, I'm pretty sure. You should share it. And over the years of me saying this to people, I dawned on me, Steve, there's no legitimate place for the everyday person to go and share their story. So I created it, right? It's the equivalent, it's taking the best of TEDx, the best of the Grammy Awards, and the best of American Idol, if you guys are familiar with that show on television. And we're bringing everyday people to the stage to share their empowering stories. And in this case, this is our first year. I'm putting up $25,000 of my own money for the first place winner. That could be one of you guys. It's life-changing. So anyway, that's my time. I'm Steve Gallegos. You can find me all over the internet, Stevie G Success. You can connect with me here on the Global Speakers Summit. And once again, it's been my privilege to be with you today. And just reach out, say hi. If you have a question, I'm more than happy to spend some time and help you and guide you in any way I can. Thank you so much.